The Hive awakens. It started as a whisper in the void. At the edge of the solar system, beyond Neptune's frozen orbit, deep space sensors detected subtle energy fluctuations. Initially dismissed as cosmic radiation, the patterns grew sharper, more deliberate. Scientists at the Orbital Observatory on Titan's moon, Rhea, studied the signals with growing unease. The readings weren't random, they were intelligent, pulsating like a heartbeat that belonged to something alive and ancient. Dr. Elara Rao, chief astrophysicist at the Titan Research Array, leaned over the console. "This isn't natural," she muttered, eyes scanning the holographic projections. "It's too organized, too aware." "Aware of what?" her assistant asked. "That we exist." First contact. Before humanity could comprehend it, probes sent toward the signal vanished. Initial theories of mechanical failure were quickly abandoned when the second wave of drones transmitted fragmented imagery, a vast alien structure larger than any human city, black as the void, pulsating with green veins of energy. It moved. It breathed. Admiral Rena Solas of the Solarion Fleet convened an emergency council aboard the Solarion Ascendant. The room buzzed with tension as military leaders, scientists, and representatives of Earth's governing coalition gathered. "Reports confirm the anomaly is approaching Mars," Solas said, her voice calm but resolute. "We're dealing with an intelligence that spans the stars, a hive of collective minds. If we do nothing, Earth will be next." A murmur swept through the council. "Collective minds," one delegate scoffed. "You mean insects?" "No," Solas replied, her eyes steely. "Something far worse. They're organized, adaptive, and relentless. They learn faster than we can react. And they're coming." The first skirmish. Humanity's fleet scrambled toward Mars to establish a defensive line. Orbital stations were armed with plasma cannons, railguns, and experimental energy weapons. Yet, when the Hive arrived, it did not attack like conventional foes. Thousands of drones emerged from the rift, sleek, biomechanical shapes that moved with eerie precision. Each drone acted not individually, but as part of a coordinated whole. Ships were surrounded, overwhelmed, torn apart. Captain Elias Marr of the frigate Resolute watched in disbelief as a drone, the size of a shuttle, shattered his starboard hull. "Shields failing. Evasive maneuvers," he shouted. But for every ship destroyed, more drones appeared. The Hive's assault was not just physical, it was psychological. The drones emitted frequencies that disrupted human neural networks, inducing nausea, confusion, even hallucinations. For a brief moment, it seemed that the Solarion Fleet might crumble under the weight of an unseen, omnipotent intelligence. But humanity adapted. Solas ordered coordinated counterattacks, deploying stealth fighters and using unpredictable patterns. Every loss was studied, every drone's weakness catalogued. The Hive, despite its power, could not anticipate human creativity, the one factor it could not calculate. Humanity awakens. On Mars, colonists and soldiers alike fought for survival. Civilians took up arms, engineers retrofitted mining equipment into deadly weapons, and children were evacuated to underground shelters. News of the Hive's advance spread to Earth, causing panic but also a unity. Across the planet, people understood the stakes. Humanity had to fight together, or perish alone. In New Dakar, a veteran raised the Solarion banner above a shattered plaza. Crowds gathered, chanting, "We endure. We fight. We rise." Humanity's indomitable spirit sparked across the colonies, a fire the Hive could not extinguish. Solas studied the battlefield from the Ascendant. The Hive was unlike any enemy she had faced. It was infinite in ambition, adaptable, and merciless. Yet she recognized the truth: the Hive could not anticipate the ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability of humans. The Hive's true nature. As the first wave was repelled, Dr. Rao's analysis revealed a terrifying detail. The Hive was a singular consciousness, a queen node directing all drones, capable of adapting instantly to attacks. The more humans fought, the faster the Hive evolved. "The Hive isn't just attacking," Rao warned. "It's learning. Every strategy we use, every tactic we deploy, it studies, adapts, and counteracts. Solas's jaw tightened. Then we must evolve faster. We cannot rely on firepower alone. Humanity's strength lies in its unpredictability, its creativity, its will to survive. That is our weapon. A new era of war. By the time the first Hive tendrils receded, Mars was battered, but not conquered. The Hive had been delayed, not defeated. Humanity had endured, but at a staggering cost, thousands of lives lost, ships destroyed, colonies scarred. From the Ascendant, Solas addressed her fleet. This is only the beginning. The Hive will return, stronger, faster, more relentless. But humanity endures. We adapt. We resist. We rise. Every soldier, every civilian, every scientist, you are the guardians of this planet. Together, we will show the Hive that Earth will not fall. Outside the observation deck, the stars gleamed cold and distant. But in the hearts of humanity, a fire burned brighter than any cosmic darkness. The Hive had awakened. Humanity was ready. Earth would fight. And the Solarion would guard it to the last breath. The shadow strikes. Darkness crept across the inner solar system, not from nightfall, but from shadows moving with intent. The Hive had learned. From the first clash at Mars, it had adapted. Where brute force had failed, stealth became its weapon. Shadow tendrils, biomechanical drones cloaked in near invisibility, infiltrated human colonies, orbital stations, and research hubs. No warning came, only sudden destruction. On the surface of Mars, Dr. Elara Rao's research station erupted in chaos. Sensors failed as drones tore through communication lines, releasing acid-like substances that dissolved hull plating. Civilians screamed as automated defenses misfired, trapped between alien invaders and malfunctioning shields. "We need evac protocols, now!" Rao shouted, her voice trembling but determined. Engineers scrambled, repurposing mining vehicles into makeshift escape pods. The shadow drones moved with precision, avoiding automated weapons and targeting human weak points. It was clear the Hive had studied humanity and adapted its attacks. Humanity fights back. Admiral Rena Solas convened the Solarion Fleet above Mars. Her face, sharp and unreadable, reflected the growing tension. "They've changed tactics," she said. "Stealth, infiltration, sabotage. They're not just attacking, they're learning from us. But we are human. We adapt faster than they expect." Commander Cade Vare nodded. "Our unpredictability is our greatest weapon. We need countermeasures, advanced sensor sweeps, decoys, and surprise maneuvers. We hit them where they least expect it." Solas turned to her communications officer. "Alert every fleet and colony. Humanity must unify. No one stands alone against the Hive." Across the colonies, civilians and soldiers alike mobilized. Engineers transformed ordinary equipment into defensive weapons, from mining drills converted into plasma cannons to transport shuttles rigged with explosive charges. Humanity's ingenuity turned desperation into opportunity. The Hive's shadow. The Hive deployed a specialized unit, Shadow Swarm Alpha. These drones could phase in and out of visibility, their movement nearly imperceptible to human sensors. They infiltrated orbital stations, sabotaging weapons, corrupting navigation arrays, and cutting off reinforcements. In the orbital command of Luna Station, Captain Elias Marr realized the severity of the threat. "They're inside our systems. Everything we rely on, shields, communications, weapons, they're twisting it against us." Solas's voice echoed over the comm. "Use your creativity. They can anticipate firepower. They cannot anticipate the human mind. Find their weakness. Exploit it. We adapt, or we perish." Marines and technicians devised improvised tactics, deploying decoy drones with electromagnetic pulses, using manual override stations, and executing surprise boarding maneuvers against cloaked Hive units. Every minor victory came with a cost, but every adaptation weakened the Hive's psychological edge. Courage in the midst of darkness. On Earth, panic and determination coexisted. Civilians built shelters, engineers fortified orbital defense platforms, and children assisted in relaying messages for fleet coordination. Communities unified in the face of invisible terror, proving that humanity's strength was not only in technology, but in courage, cooperation, and ingenuity. In New Dakar, a retired soldier led civilians to repurpose agricultural machines into plasma turrets. "We may not have a fleet," he said, voice firm, "but we have heart. We will fight, because Earth is ours." Elsewhere, scientists devised a way to detect the shadow swarm by measuring the faint energy trails left by their cloaked bodies, turning stealth into vulnerability. Humanity had found the Hive's blind spot. Strategic counterstrike. Solas coordinated a decisive counterattack. The Solarion Fleet, now equipped with new detection grids and modified stealth fighter squadrons, launched a pincer maneuver against Hive units infiltrating Mars and Luna. "Deploy counter-infiltration teams," Solas commanded. "Flank the swarm, cut off retreat, and isolate the Queen Node's tendrils. Humanity is the blade, they are the shadows. We strike with clarity." The fleet engaged in a nightmarish ballet of lasers, plasma beams, and explosive boarding pods. The Shadow Swarm Alpha, though formidable, could not overcome coordinated human ingenuity. As one ship sacrificed itself to destroy a Hive spire, another used the explosion to breach the enemy's formations, creating cascading victories. The Hive adapted quickly, but the unpredictability of human tactics forced it to overextend. For every attack, humans countered with strategy, improvisation, and sacrifice. The Hive's Queen Node moves. Through the chaos, intelligence reports revealed movement. The Hive Queen Node was now approaching Earth's orbit. Unlike the shadow drones, its presence radiated psychic energy, an overwhelming force that threatened to fracture human coordination. Dr. Rao analyzed the readings. The Hive is preparing for a major offensive. The Queen Node will try to control minds, sow distrust, and break our defenses from within. If it reaches Earth's orbit unchallenged, billions will die. Solas clenched her fist. Then we stop it before it reaches the cradle of humanity. Prepare the fleet. Every human, every ship, every resource, we will be the shield. Commander Vare nodded grimly. It's a battle of shadows versus light. But humans, we never hide in the dark. We face it. A moment of hope. By the end of the campaign, humanity had not defeated the Hive entirely, but it had survived. Shadow tendrils were destroyed, infiltrated colonies were liberated, and new detection technology allowed humans to predict Hive movements. Mars remained battered, Luna scarred, but humanity's ingenuity had turned the tide. Solas looked out from the bridge of the Solarion Ascendant. The stars beyond were silent, but she felt the Hive watching, waiting, learning. "They think they are endless," she whispered. "But we are human. We fight. We endure. And we rise again." The Hive had shadowed the solar system, but humanity's light burned brighter than ever. Earth awaited the next strike. Humanity would be ready. And the Solarion Fleet would stand as its last guardian. Guardians of Earth. The void above Earth shimmered with menace. Thousands of Hive drones filled orbital space, their blackened hulls pulsing with green energy. Massive spires floated like malignant satellites, each one a node in the Hive's vast intelligence. The Queen Node's psychic influence radiated outward, a pulse of malevolence that bent weaker minds to its will. Admiral Rena Solas stood on the bridge of the Solarion Ascendant, watching the holomap of the approaching swarm. Earth glowed below, beautiful and fragile. Cities, oceans, forests, they were the home of billions. And now, every one of them was at risk. "This is it," Commander Cade Vare said beside her, voice low. "The Hive will strike Earth directly. There's no other way. If we fail here, it's over." Solas's gaze hardened. "Then we do not fail. Humanity does not kneel. We are the guardians of Earth, and we will show the Hive that no darkness can snuff out human light." Preparing the defenses. Across the planet, preparations reached a fever pitch. Military fleets in orbit positioned themselves strategically to intercept the Hive before atmospheric entry. Satellites and orbital platforms bristled with railguns and plasma cannons. Evacuation protocols were in place, but Solas refused to rely solely on human survival. She would meet the Hive in combat, above the world they sought to conquer. On the surface, civilians fortified cities. Engineers retrofitted skyscrapers into energy hubs. Farmers and volunteers dug trenches, built barricades, and trained to support military forces. Humanity itself became a weapon, not merely ships and weapons, but intelligence, creativity, and courage. Solas addressed the fleet. The Hive adapts. Its queen node seeks to control minds and fracture us from within. But humans are unpredictable. Humans innovate. Humans endure. That is our advantage. We fight not just with weapons, but with our very ingenuity. The Hive descends. When the first tendrils pierced Earth's atmosphere, the planet shook. Enormous Hive leviathans descended over the oceans, sending tidal waves that swallowed coastal cities. Spires anchored in the sky, releasing swarms of drones that filled the skies like living clouds. The Solarion Fleet engaged immediately. Plasma beams tore through the swarm. Railgun fire shredded leviathans. Human pilots, risking everything, strafed Hive tendrils, deploying bombs that detonated in cascades of green fire. Yet the Hive was relentless. Its drones adapted mid-battle, forming shields, coordinating attacks, and using psychic pulses to disrupt human communication. Entire battalions hesitated, their confidence shaken by the Queen Node's psychic assault. Heroes among humans. Amid the chaos, ordinary humans became extraordinary. In New York, civilians armed with improvised weapons fought alongside Marines to defend a key communication hub. A retired engineer rigged satellites to fire kinetic strikes at Hive spires, taking out multiple drones at once. In Tokyo, a group of students coordinated energy grid defenses, channeling power into shields protecting evacuation routes. Every act of ingenuity, bravery, and defiance became a weapon against the Hive. Solas realized that the strength of humanity was not only in their fleets or weapons, but in their unyielding spirit. The counterstrike. Solas coordinated a surgical strike against Hive spires orbiting the planet. Using stealth fighters and long-range railguns, the Solarion Fleet targeted the nodes controlling the swarm. Focus on the Queen Node's tendrils, she commanded. Every spire destroyed weakens its mind. The battle above Earth became a spectacle of light and fire. Drones collided with human ships in bursts of plasma. Spires erupted under concentrated attacks. Leviathans, once unstoppable, were brought down by coordinated volleys. The Hive writhed, adapting, but human unpredictability remained its greatest challenge. The Queen Node lashed out psychically, trying to turn humans against one another. Confusion spread among some units, but Solas anticipated the attack. She issued clear orders, synchronized communications, and inspired her crews to resist. Human ingenuity neutralized the psychic assault. Sacrifice and unity. Despite victories, the cost was staggering. Several Solarion vessels were destroyed. Thousands of pilots were lost. Entire cities were leveled by Hive tendrils. Yet the human spirit remained unbroken. In one pivotal moment, a small squadron of stealth fighters sacrificed themselves to destroy a Hive spire, creating a breach that allowed the main fleet to strike at the Queen Node's psychic core. Ordinary humans on Earth coordinated with orbital defenses, proving that unity and courage could match alien precision. Humanity strikes back. Using the breach, the Solarion Fleet launched a final coordinated assault. Beams of concentrated energy struck Hive spires, exploding into clouds of biomechanical debris. The Queen Node, sensing its control slipping, surged its psychic power in a last desperate attempt to dominate the minds of humanity. But humans resisted. Pilots, engineers, and civilians alike synchronized their efforts. Improvised technology, daring tactics, and sheer willpower overcame the Hive's psychic might. Every countermeasure, every innovation, every courageous act chipped away at the Hive's advantage. The Queen node recoiled under the assault, tendrils severed, drones falling in disarray. The Hive had underestimated the adaptability, creativity, and determination of humans. A glimmer of victory. As the Hive's forces weakened, retreat became inevitable. Drones fell back into orbit, spires collapsed, and leviathans withdrew to the rift. Humanity had held Earth. The Solarion Fleet was battered, cities were damaged, and the cost was immense, but the Hive had been stopped, at least temporarily. Solas watched Earth from the bridge of the Ascendant. The planet was scarred but alive. Humanity had fought as one. Soldiers, civilians, scientists, engineers, all became guardians of Earth in their own right. The Hive thinks it can dominate us, Solas said softly. But it has never faced the full ingenuity of humanity. We endure. We fight. We adapt. And we will rise again. Above, the stars were silent. Earth had survived the Shadow's strike. But the war was far from over. The Hive would return. It always returned. And when it did, humanity would be ready. The Solarion Fleet remained vigilant, the planet's last guardian, standing resolute against the darkness beyond the stars.